Well, hello and good day, afternoon, early morning, whatever. Back with another video. This time, a Quan Guan ME 109E BF 109 bomber fighter. Here's the actual plane. And the landing gear works perfectly. Watch it not work. But, dink, it worked. And it stays up. This and the Spitfire are the two best. And both this version and the Spitfire that I have can be used to illustrate and explain the Battle of Britain, which would be my next video. I'm still working on concept. There might be some Kobe bomber aircraft used and explain exactly what happened during the Battle of Britain. But for now, the MEBF 109E, the first full, well, not actually, this was used in the Spanish Civil War. I'll do a quick history. 1936, they came up with this plane, Willie Messerschmitt, and I don't know who else, making the most smallest monoplane fighter and strongest, able to fly fast, carry a heavy armament, and succeed as an interceptor, basically, is what this plane was. It's not an escort fighter, it did not have range, it was an interceptor. Oh, details. 1936, 1937, this plane made its appearance where it was seen throughout the world. It did not have its wartime engine. It had a Rolls-Royce Kestrel, so it was using a different kind of an engine. And when the Spanish Civil War started, the Condor Legion went to España. The ME 109 went with them. ME 109 C's, D's, and E's. What's so important about this? The DB 601 engine, Daimler Benz, Mercedes Benz, Daimler Benz, capable of 1,175 horsepower. The speed varies. Some say 352, some say 357. I'm going to center it out at 355 miles per hour. Altitude on this plane, it would have gotten that speed of 16,400 feet. And it had a service ceiling of about 38,000 feet, I think. I'm just guessing. Uh, Range is about 475 miles. I know it was under 500 because they had limited flight time when they were going just from France into England to do whatever. And what else about this? They produced about 34,000 of these, 33,984 units, I believe, to be exactly. That would be a total of ME 109 E's, F's, G's, and K's. They had various different marks. And I have I have an F, a Kobe, which I can show at some time. But those came 1941-ish, after the Battle of Britain and after the start of the war. When the war started, this was the number one Luftwaffe fighter plane. It was used in Poland, it was used in France and the Low Countries. But what happened was it had no competition as far as fighting in the sky. In Poland, it reigned supreme. It was armed with two 7.9 millimeter machine guns. This one has three 20 millimeter cannon. It has one in each wing, which I'm going to point out there, and one firing through the engine block, the cylinder banks, giving it a total of three 20 millimeters and a two 7.9s in the cowling. This is a very good fighter plane. When it came out, it was, until it encountered the Spitfire in France in 1940, right about this time of year, April, May, when the war kicked up after a little pause after the initial 1939 run into Poland, and it saw other planes. It went up against the D-Between 520, the French fighter, the Hawker Hurricane. And that would depend upon the pilot, because the Hawker Hurricane is not as fast as this plane, but far more maneuverable. So for the Hawker Hurricane to survive, it would have to get in a turning dog fight, get real close, and try to smother this thing with its eight 303-inch machine guns. Now here's the beauty. This plane did not have as many guns, but what this plane had was accuracy. A little quick burst from 20 millimeter cannon would go right through the thin skin of a plane and shoot the plane down. If the pilot was a good marksman, it could get right on them. The British planes had 8 which are 30 caliber 3-inch British Browning machine guns, rifle caliber essentially, and they would shoot at a high rate of fire, kind of like sending a swarm of hornets at something. Hopefully it'll hit and it'll do something. Whereas a cannon will pierce right through because you're shooting explosive shells through a gun slightly bigger than a high caliber machine gun. And that was the preferred armament in this plane. This plane kind of changed around. As it got modified and updated, it lost the wing guns. The wings and the body got a little bit different. Basically, it relied on heavy machine gun and a big cannon in the nose. Later versions had little gondola pods that had the 20 millimeters back. Excuse me. But in this one here, the 20 millimeter guns were inside the wings themselves, which necessitated a thing with balance and with fuel. Fuel is limited because you have ammo for these guns in the wings, so your fuel is limited to what you could have in the fuselage and whatever little areas in the wing would give you fuel. And that was the main drawback of this plane. It was a great fighter plane otherwise. I mean, kind of a little bit of a cramped cockpit. Let's see if I can get close so you can see. I don't want to take the canopy off because you've seen what happened with the Luftwaffe when I did that, and I figured out how to get the pilot in lower. But this is a great plane. It has decals, which you can see. I mean, I'm not great at putting the decals on. That's why everything now is all printed. But it's a nice looking plane. And what it came with, too, are 3 extra figures. I rescued 2 of them. I made one of them a Luftwaffe guard, airfield guard. I got a little base for him, and I went to Brickmania, the big brick store, and I bought a Gearware 43 semi-automatic rifle. So now I kind of like dress these figures up. I mean, they're not bad figures for what they are, and I am extremely pleased with this kit. A little bit of complexity, no missing parts, no confusion. Just it was time consuming because the little parts became subcomponents that were combined together within the fuselage and wings, whatever. And the wings actually are pretty easy with this one. I followed a different scheme, and I used a flat board to put them on, and they kind of snapped together, and I just went really slow so I could absorb the instructions. Time-wise, out of the 4 that I built, the Yakolev, the Lavochkin, and the Spitfire, this one took the least amount. And this one actually kind of had more parts. Kind of developed a system for them. I put the parts as they come out of the bag into a Corningware kind of a dish bowl, and the color separation was really good. It made it easier to put parts together and to build the sub-assemblies that you needed. This is another Temu. I think I paid $22 for this, and I know they cost more if you buy them on eBay or Amazon, so I'm not suggesting go get a thing for Temu, because I did this because my wife's on it, and that's how I'm able to sneak and get these through the Temu thing, her Temu thing. But the flaps work on it pretty nice. What else? And it's a very highly detailed and very nice looking plane and pretty durable. I was shocked. I learned from the others, and this is probably their best landing gear setup. They actually work, and all you gotta do with this thing is just put it down, and it has the springs in there, and it sits nice. It also has a stand. I could put it on a stand if I'd like to, but for right now, I'm kind of playing with it. And my thing with these decal stickers, you gotta kind of play with them. You put them on, they're gonna like have these little crease things. You hold them in your hand, heat and moisture from your hand will kind of flatten them out, and eventually they'll all kind of go into place. Which is why I Kobe and others have gone to pad printed. And a lot of the tanks now coming out of China from the manufacturers are all pad printed. But it didn't matter. I like these planes, and it was worth getting, and they represent an era. Basically, early war Western Europe with the Spitfire and the ME-109, and then the Eastern Front with the Lavochkin and the Yakovic. The reason I initially bought them were with my Kobe tanks. I had no Soviet aircraft, with the exception of the P-39 that Kobe had. So I added the other two. Now I have 3 different fighters that the Soviets used from basically 1941-ish, 2-ish to the end of the war. So this was, like I said, Germany started the war with this. They would put improved engines in them. They would figure out a way to put a fuel tank on the bottom of it, and voila, increase what it could do. This plane, like I said, is an interceptor, kind of a fighter kind of an issue. It is not an escort plane. When the Germans started the Battle of Britain in June of 1940, after Dunkirk and everybody evacuated to Britain, they used this plane as an escort for the Heinkel 111, Dornier 17, and Ju-88 bombers. These aren't made for that. And what happened was they initially were okay because the Hurricane fighter planes were there to go attack the bombers. And like I said, depending upon the pilot, because they were pretty closely matched, the Spitfire was slightly better than this plane, being at its far more maneuverable because of its elliptical wings. Top speed was a little bit better, 362 miles an hour to 369, depending if it was a Mark 1, 2, or 5B. The Spitfire that I have it configured as a 5B. When we do the Battle of Britain, some Spitfires were testing the Hispano cannon. They had jamming issues, and that's how they figured everything out before it became part of the standard armament in the Spitfire. But this right now is about this plane here. So the plane also was manufactured at the end of the war, after the end of the war, by the Czechoslovakians. Avia, Czech Aviation Company, had this plane, the bodies, because they were building them, in a supply of Daimler-Benz DB605 engines. But what happened there, they had a fire that destroyed them, so they had to switch with a Junkers engine from a Junkers bomber, so it didn't work out that good. But in its original form, and then the Spanish built this till the 1950s, but they put a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine like a Spitfire had instead of the Daimler-Benz DB601 or DB605 that the later models had. So basically that's all I have with this. Trying to give you a few more looks with this. I will have another video coming out probably tomorrow or Thursday on the Battle of Britain, because I'm trying to see what Kobe planes I'm going to use in mix. It'll be a little bit longer because I'm going to kind of explain tactics and things that they did, showing a blend of basically the first modern kind of air battle with modern planes using radar and air controller, utilizing radar and other things, and it'll be kind of an interesting video. But for now, I'm going to end it at that. ME-109E4, and this is a version that flew from 1939, the invasion of Poland in September, through like 1941. Some of these served on the Eastern Front, but they were replaced by the BF-109F, and I'll show you one of those in the Battle of Britain video that I'm going to do. And then I have one about the attacks that Britain did on the French coast in 1941, 42-ish. But for now, we're going to end with that, and that's what I have as far as a plane. And like I said, I got little bricks to help the figures stand on and armed him. And this is a base guard. He came with the plane, and I embellished him a bit just kind of to add a little realism. So my that's about it I have. Sorry, I'm kind of losing train. I'm thinking ahead to the next video. So I hope you enjoy this video. Sorry I kind of slipped there at the end, but the next one of the Battle of Britain will be a little bit longer and a little bit more detail as far as what you see. Hope you enjoyed this, and hope everybody has a good day, and see you again soon when I get the next video done.